Everyone is desperate for gold right now, so much so that France just teleported 129 tons of gold from New York to Paris and made $12.8 billion in the process, just as the global monetary system fractures. Look, nobody trusts the US to hold their gold anymore, and everyone is trying to hoard as much gold as possible to themselves. Why? I'm going to break it down in the next 5 minutes. First, we're going to look at how a boring accounting update is masking a massive sovereign scramble for physical metal. I know that sounds boring, but it's vital for your portfolio, so you have to understand this. Second, we're going to look at how the New York Fed's custody system is showing severe signs of stress. And third, we're going to look at the blatant institutional rotation into hard assets designed to leave you holding the bag, allegedly. My name's Nick. I've been a professional investor and unprofessional trader for 24 years. Let's figure this out together. Look, right now, the mainstream media is telling you that this French gold move is nothing to worry about. Actually, you know what? They're just barely even reporting on it. So that's kind of the same thing. But let me explain it because it's very important that you understand this. The Banque de France claims that this was just a routine standardization procedure to upgrade older bars into modern purity standards. They upgraded old gold that was carried on the books at very low historical prices into new positions at today's much higher market price, and the revaluation difference showed up as a multi-billion-dollar accounting gain, $12.8 billion to be exact. They explicitly denied any political motivation. Sorry, inexperienced investors read this and assume that the global financial system is perfectly stable. So they stay sitting in cash, trusting the US dollar will protect their wealth. The reality is that France didn't just load 129 metric tons of gold onto a boat in New York. They sold their non-compliant bars at the New York Fed and simultaneously repurchased physical bars on the European open market and made $12.9 billion in the process. Let me explain how. When a sovereign nation wants its wealth back from the world's largest custodian, the US, they can't simply withdraw their own metal. They have to execute a complex sell and rebuy operation just to get physical bars into their own vaults beneath Paris. This confirms a terrifying disconnect between paper claims and the physical reality, right? Western bullion markets operate almost entirely on an unallocated basis, meaning roughly 95% of the traded gold is just a paper claim. It's just paper gold. So you're essentially an unsecured creditor in a system where paper trading volumes exceed physical supply by like 100 to 1. But the physical delivery system is choking right now. Standard settlement times for physical metals have stretched from a single day to as long as 8 weeks now. And while retail investors buy paper ETFs, the actual physical metal is vanishing. Let's talk about why we've seen this exact mechanism before. Look at what happened between 1963 and 1966 under French President Charles de Gaulle. I hope I said that right. Back then, the US dollar was pegged to gold at $35 an ounce under the Bretton Woods system. De Gaulle realized that the US was printing excess dollars, effectively forcing other nations to subsidize American deficits. So France systematically drained 3,313 tons of physical gold from US and UK vaults. That massive withdrawal forced President Nixon to suspend the gold standard in 1971, launching the fiat era that we're trapped in today. Thank you very much for that, by the way. The underlying mechanism today is exactly the same, but the stakes are tied to a $39 trillion US debt bomb, the US debt crisis, right? Today, gold isn't $35 an ounce, though, obviously. It's hovering around $4,500 an ounce. It was at $5,600 not too long ago, representing like what, a 13,000 roughly appreciation since the Bretton Woods system collapsed. And the catalyst for this modern collapse happened in 2022, when Western nations froze roughly 300 billion in Russian reserves overnight. Every other nation woke up to this terrifying new reality, right? They realized that sovereign reserves held in Western financial infrastructure could legally be immobilized as a geopolitical weapon. And with trust between the US and Europe at all-time lows, at least by modern standards, all-time lows, right? The public message and what the smart money is actually doing have become two completely different things. While the Federal Reserve claims that the dollar's reserve status is fine, the actual data shows the dollar's share of global reserves just plummeted to 56.3%. That's the lowest level since 1995. Central banks globally bought a massive 863 tons of physical gold in 2025 alone, and the United States hasn't allowed a comprehensive independent audit of its own gold reserves since 1953. They're operating on the trust me bro system. Trust me bro, the gold is all in the vaults. We haven't used it. Anyway, the cynical observer would say that the New York Fed is operating a massive fractional reserve system. They are perfectly happy to let retail investors hold depreciating fiat and unbacked paper gold contracts, because of course they are. And because it allows the smart money to quietly secure the finite physical metal before the entire system fractures, allegedly. So what does this mean for us? Look, we need to ask ourselves, why are nation states, central banks, and big banks such as JPMorgan all of a sudden trying to hoard massive amounts of physical gold and silver? Why? Why is Poland buying massive amounts of gold? They're one of the biggest buyers in the last few years, mind you. Why is France reclaiming its gold from the US again? Why is the US scared to have its vaults audited? Why is JPMorgan becoming one of the largest holders of physical gold in history, excluding nation states, of course, right? Why are BRICS nations dumping US dollars and hoovering up gold? Why are they trying to get retail to buy paper gold and bullshit tokenized crypto gold while they hoover up all the physical gold? I mean, you know why, right? If you want to hear my thoughts on surviving the 2026 financial crisis, watch this video from my main channel from yesterday. I'll see you in the next one.